President Trump doing a 180 on Harley-Davidson this morning, unleashing on Twitter after the American motorcycle company announced it was moving some production overseas to avoid tariffs from the European Union. Those tariffs, of course.
Harley-Davidson shuts U.S. plants amid trade war fallout. Harley-Davidson CEO Yan Zites has announced the closure of the company's U.S. factories and a shift of production overseas, citing severe financial strain. The news has shaken the American manufacturing sector as the iconic motorcycle brand struggles with rising costs and falling global demand. The move follows sweeping tariffs imposed by President Donald Trump, which aimed to protect U.S. industry, but instead triggered retaliatory tariffs and disrupted global trade. Long a symbol of American craftsmanship, Harley-Davidson now faces a harsh new reality. The tariffs have pushed up the cost of imported parts and made its bikes too expensive in key international markets, especially Europe, where retaliatory tariffs added thousands to the price of U.S. motorcycles. With domestic sales stagnant and overseas sales dropping, the company can no longer justify large-scale U.S. production. The decision to close domestic plants wasn't taken lightly. It marks a major shift for a brand deeply rooted in American identity. But the pressure of higher input costs, shrinking margins, and unstable trade conditions forced Harley-Davidson's hand. Moving production abroad is a bid to regain competitiveness and avoid being crushed by the trade war. This isn't just a Harley-Davidson problem. Other U.S. manufacturers relying on global supply chains are now questioning their future. The situation highlights how interconnected modern manufacturing has become and how quickly it can unravel under abrupt policy changes. The closures will hit local communities hard. Many of Harley-Davidson's plants are economic anchors in their towns, supporting thousands of jobs directly and indirectly. Beyond the job losses, there's a deeper loss of local identity tied to the brand. Harley-Davidson's retreat is a wake-up call. If a company this iconic can't weather the economic impact of trade protectionism, the broader outlook for U.S. manufacturing looks grim. Other firms are likely to follow, adapting or moving abroad to survive. The deeper problem isn't just the tariffs, it's the uncertainty they bring. Sudden policy shifts leave companies unable to plan or invest confidently. Funds meant for innovation or hiring get diverted into survival strategies. The long-term cost is a loss of momentum across industries. The timing couldn't be worse for Harley-Davidson. After years of investing in rebranding, electric bikes, and international growth, the company was starting to see progress. But the tariff war has turned those gains into setbacks, leaving even its most promising ventures at risk. Internally, Harley-Davidson faces tough choices. Moving operations overseas isn't just a logistical shift, it's a cultural one. The brand is rooted in American ideals of freedom and open roads. Building bikes abroad, even partly, risks weakening that identity. But survival now outweighs symbolism. If the company can't stay afloat, the brand's legacy won't matter. CEO Yan Zites and his team must juggle operational changes while trying to hold on to customer loyalty. Politically, Harley's move has become a lightning rod. Critics say it's proof that protectionist trade policies can backfire. Meant to save American jobs, they've helped kill them instead. Supporters argue the pain is temporary and needed to push fairer trade. Either way, the immediate impact is clear and hard on workers. For many Americans, the news is a blow. Hopes for a manufacturing comeback have given way to plant closures and uncertain futures. Workers now face limited options: retraining, relocating, or early retirement, a tough reality often ignored in trade debates. Globally, Harley's shift could damage how people view American brands. When tariffs push a company to leave the U.S., it signals an unfriendly business climate. This could scare off foreign investors and isolate the U.S. economy, hurting the competitiveness the tariffs aim to protect. It also strains ties with trade partners, who now see the U.S. as unpredictable. Other industries aren't immune. Sectors like auto, AG, tech, and pharma all rely on global supply chains. If Harley's move sparks a trend, it could lead to more companies cutting U.S. production or investment, further weakening America's industrial base. Consumers will feel the ripple too. Tariffs raise costs, which companies pass down to buyers. Over time, higher prices, fewer choices, and lower quality become the norm. For Harley, buyers might not notice right away, but shrinking U.S. manufacturing will show up in dealerships and service shops eventually. Internationally, countries will likely try to attract U.S. companies like Harley, offering lower labor costs, easier regulations, and tariff-free market access. Places like Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, and Latin America stand to gain. It's a global tug-of-war for American business. Harley may survive, but the road ahead is rough. Rebuilding supply chains, navigating foreign regulations, and regaining trust won't be easy. The company must now redefine itself, not as purely American-made, but as a global brand grounded in its roots. This transition tests not just Harley-Davidson, but the very idea of American manufacturing. The world is watching how the U.S. adapts to shifting trade realities. Companies once seen as pillars of American industry must evolve or disappear. Some will see Harley's move as a betrayal, others as a necessary step. As the dust settles, one thing is clear. This is bigger than one company. It's about the future of U.S. manufacturing, the real-world impact of political choices, and the global web that links economies together. Harley may no longer build every bike in the U.S., but the reasons it left, and what happens next, will echo for years in boardrooms, factories, and government halls. The move exposes deeper cracks in the American industrial system, long hidden behind slogans of strength. Harley's financial strain reflects bigger misalignments between national policy and global markets. Tariffs were meant to protect, but they've acted like a double-edged sword, upending the stability needed for global operations. And for a company like Harley, with long timelines and high costs, the sudden tariff shift left no time for slow adjustments. The result, rushed decisions, shrinking margins, and a blow to long-term strategy. Harley-Davidson's global shift, a turning point. Harley-Davidson's global operations, sourcing parts from Asia, assembling in the U.S., and distributing across Europe and Latin America, made the company highly vulnerable to disruption. When tariffs drove up costs, especially for steel and aluminum, the company faced a hard choice: absorb the losses or move production abroad to cut costs. This relocation has serious consequences for American workers. Harley's factories have long supported stable, multi-generational employment. These jobs are community anchors, and their loss affects everything from local economies to schools and housing markets. It also weakens labor unions, as Harley's exit sets a precedent for other companies to resist wage demands and union protections in the name of global competitiveness. Investors, too, are rethinking risk. Tariffs have shown how quickly politics can upend business models. Flexibility and global reach are now seen as safer bets than national loyalty. For Harley, this raises a deeper question. Can a brand rooted in American identity still resonate if it's made elsewhere? The company's just-in-time supply chain, once a model of efficiency, now looks fragile. Shifting to more resilient systems will require time, money, and new logistics. Tariffs haven't just disrupted operations. They've exposed the risks of relying on outdated assumptions about trade and manufacturing. Harley's move sends a message to policymakers. Protectionist tariffs can backfire. Instead of preserving jobs, they can drive companies away. Other industries are taking note, reevaluating supply chains, and preparing for a more uncertain global trade environment. The loss goes beyond jobs. As production moves overseas, so does the demand for skilled manufacturing talent. U.S. training programs may decline, while foreign markets gain both jobs and expertise. Long-term, this weakens America's industrial capacity. Politically, Harley's decision inflames debates over protectionism and globalization. It shows that simplistic trade policies often create more problems than they solve. Leaders now face the challenge of promoting growth without isolating the economy. For Harley's brand, the stakes are high. Loyal customers may see the move as a betrayal. Preserving its image will require careful messaging to maintain trust and authenticity. Innovation may also take a hit, with resources diverted to relocation, R&D, especially in electric bikes and smart mobility, may slow. This has ripple effects on tech partners and the company's future competitiveness. Financially, the move is expensive. Severance, new factories, legal fees, and contract penalties add up quickly. The short-term pain may outweigh long-term gains, at least initially. Geopolitically, Countries gaining Harley's operations benefit economically and diplomatically. If more firms follow, the U.S. could lose industrial clout to regions offering more stable trade environments. Environmental concerns also emerge. Different regulations abroad may lower sustainability standards. Longer shipping routes increase carbon emissions, challenging Harley's green credentials. Culturally, this shift reshapes how Americans view domestic brands. Made in America may carry less weight, while consumers grow more global in their preferences. Cities losing Harley plants face budget shortfalls from lost tax revenue. This leads to service cuts and long-term economic decline, damage that's hard to reverse. Harley's departure marks a psychological break. It challenges the belief that legacy U.S. manufacturers can withstand global pressures without adapting. Tradition alone isn't enough. Ultimately, this is a case of corporate survival over sentiment. Whether it pays off remains to be seen, but Harley-Davidson's decision underscores a new era in how U.S. companies operate in a global economy.